Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about how to set up your APA formatted paper while considering the changes in the 7th edition. So first things we're going to do is open up a new blank page, new blank document, and we're going to set up the header. So in the new 7th edition, we don't need running headers anymore. The only thing we need in the header option is the page number. So the way we do that is we just double click right above here. You can see my mouse. It'll take us to the header for their options. We go to the top left here, it says page number, top of the page, and we go to the plain number 3. From there, that's pretty much your header options. The only thing that we have to make sure is be consistent with the font. So one thing to consider is that there are changes in the fonts that you can use in APA formatting now. Before, it was only Times New Roman 12-point font, but now there's actually different options, and you guys can go ahead and take a look at that in the library guides that we have. But for us here in Composition 1, and to make it simpler for our class, we're going to use the default, which is the Calibri 11-point font. This is something that's actually now usable in APA format. So there are other fonts that you can use in other points, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to use Calibri 11-point font. So from there, we double click out from the header and we go back to our main page, and the first thing we're going to do from here would be to set up our spacing. So from there, there's still actually two ways that we can go about that. We can either right click anywhere on our page here and go to paragraph, or you guys can click this little arrow right here and it'll take you to the same place. Our spacing, line spacing, is supposed to be double, and that's going to be it. So now we have to set up our title page. So the title page now differs a little bit from the 6th edition to the 7th. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go center aligned. So we're in the center of the page right here, and then from there we're going to go down about 4 lines before we start our title. So here our title is going to be bolded. So whatever your title is going to be, it's going to be bolded, and you still follow proper capitalizations for titles. So for example, this is the title of my paper. Say for example like that. So that's going to be bolded, and that's the title of my paper right there. So from there we drop down another line and we leave one more space before we start typing the rest of our information. So we get rid of the bold, and now we start off with the name of the author. So here, remember that you are using your full name, and any middle initial that you have is gonna be you're only gonna use the initials for it. So say for example, in my case, it will be like this. If you have more than one author, you're gonna have to take a look at how to set that up in the library guides. But in this case, in most of our assignments in Comp 1, it's just gonna be you as the author anyway. So this is essentially it. From there, we drop down one more space and we put down our school or our university. In our case, it's Hallmark University. The next thing would be the course code and name. So for this class, for example, it is ENGL 1301 colon Composition 1. That is our course name, that's our course code right there. Normally you will see this in Blackboard when you open up your page. If you can't find it there, check the catalog and stuff like that there, so you can always ask your instructor as well. The next line from there would be the instructor name. So in this case, I guess it's myself, so I'm just going to type it again. And the last line would be the due date of the assignment. So say for example, this assignment was due February 16, 2020, something to that degree, right? So that is the information of our title page, and you now have an APA formatted title page. From here, we can go down to the next page and actually figure out what we need to do in order to set up the next parts of our paper. So for example here, this is going to be the start of our body. So from here, where we start our paper, we're actually gonna retype our title, bolded. This is the title of my paper, and that is gonna serve as our header for introduction paragraph. So you don't actually write down introduction as your header for your paragraph. It's actually the title of your paper again. So from there, we get rid of the bold and we align to the left, and this is where you start your paragraph. So normally you have to remember that when you start paragraphs, you indent by 1/2 inch, and you this is normally done by pressing the tab button, and that gives you that automatic 1/2 inch. You don't use space bars as much as possible. Use tab buttons. Okay, so this is where you start off your introduction. This is where you fill it out, and then you start off the rest of your paragraphs here, and you just keep going until you're done. I'm not gonna go into too many specifics of how to start off your paper because this is just a formatting introduction anyway. So we're gonna go down. For example, we are done with our paper. We've finished all of our paragraphs. We now have to set up our reference page. So we are done with our paper, and we are now going to set up our reference page. Remember that the reference page is always going to be a standalone page, so depending on where you finish your paragraphs in your main essay, you always have to go to the next page and start the reference page. It can't be joined with any other of the other components of your paper. So we are in a completely new page here. We are going to set this up, and we're going to go center aligned. We're going to bold the font, and we're going to type references, and that's going to be the heading for the references. Now we get rid of that and go back to left align. So this is where we're going to type out our references. Remember that each reference, depending on the type of reference or the type of format that you're using, it's going to be different. So you have to make sure that you are using the correct formatting. So I'm just going to copy paste something here since I'm not going to be talking about exactly how to make your references yet. This is just your formatting paper, but just as an example, just to show you guys how it would look like. This is essentially how you set this up. So say for example, you have a complete citation here, you have a complete reference. Every reference that you have will need to be set up differently, and as well as something that's to keep in mind. Your references are arranged alphabetically by the first letter that you see on each line of your reference. So here, this is going to be a Z, so that's going to be more than likely the last reference that I'm going to use. The next thing to keep in mind is the hanging indentation. So if your reference goes over one line, that subsequent line and any other line afterwards from there will need to be indented by 1/2 inch. So the way you do that is, say for example, this goes 2 lines, so the second line here, you go there, click there, and you're going to drag this small arrow here by 1/2 inch, and that's your hanging indentation. Now sometimes you'll click that and it'll drag the whole line. Don't worry, you can just always go back up here and drag that top arrow back to the starting point, and now you have your hanging indentation. So from there, you'll actually have your first assignment already. This is going to be your APA formatting assignment. This is all you really need to submit. So just your formatting here for your title page, some words here so that you know where to start off your paragraphs, and maybe a mock reference so that you remember that there's a hanging indentation there. Okay, you can go ahead and save that, submit it on Blackboard, and also make sure to keep a copy for yourself so that whenever you start off a new APA paper, and you're going to be doing that since Hallmark is an APA style school, at least you don't have to keep resetting and redoing the formatting for the page number and then the titles and all of this information. All you have to do is change out the title, change out the course, and change out the due date. That's pretty much it. I hope this instructional helped you guys out, and hopefully you guys are going to be doing well in this assignment, and I will see you guys later.